Hey, everybody, welcome to OneMicNite podcast. On today's episode, we're going to explore ways to improve our lives one step at a time. Now, today's episode, we're diving into the world of life coaching. Have you ever felt stuck in your personal or professional life and unsure about where to go with your goals to build confidence and create success? Well, today we're going to be discussing the benefits of having a life coach and how to find the right life coach for you and what to expect from a life coaching session. My guest today is a life and breath work specialist. Now, she's been doing it for years and she's helped people achieve their dreams. So make sure you tune in, turn up the volume, and get ready for this episode of OneMicNite. I'm Marcos Luis. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of OneMicNite, the podcast that brings you stories of artists and people on their journey, helping to guide, answer questions, and motivate you in life and the business. You already know who I am. It's Marcos Luis, and I want to thank you guys all for following me on this journey, introducing you to some of the most incredible people in the world. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, drop down, also click the bell. For those of you who are listening on the audio podcast, make sure you tune in to our YouTube channel at OneMicNite every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern and watch the episode and join us in the live chat where we talk as a group about the episode. And coming up very, very soon, we're going to be going live on Facebook. We have the psychotherapist Shane Mark Tull will be with us. And Dr. Brazemore, the licensed clinical social worker, will be doing a men's mental health group chat. So look forward to that. But today, I'm very, very excited. We're staying along the same lines where we're hoping to inspire you with life and your life journey. My guest today is a life coach. She's a healing and breathwork coach, which allows for personal growth and for transformation. Please welcome Eva Kornet to the show. Eva, welcome to OneMicNite.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so happy to have you
What
here.
a
You have
pleasure.
no idea.
Yes.
Listen, I have questions.
Okay, bring it.
The first question is, who is Eva Kornet?
Who is Eva Kornet? Who are we? What a complex question to answer. I think there are so many things to say about a human being. And I found it always hard to narrow it down to what do you going to share. But I knew this question comes, so I tuned in. And I think what I want to share is what I'm passionate about, what drives me, because that is something that feels so true to me. That is like always the force, and it's like I feel like I love humans and I'm so passionate about the collective human family. I'm passionate about how we behave, who we are, and how can we shift into places that make life more beautiful, like almost like finding that recognition within is like, oh, I'm actually a powerful creator of this life. Let me just shift. So that is really what I'm passionate about. And I love the universe. I feel like I'm working for the universe, and I feel part of that force, of that divine healing force, or team divine somehow. And that drives me every day. And I'm passionate about where we can go, maybe as a collective in this human family. I'm passionate about healing ourselves. And I think that is the essence of who I am. I Yeah, I love humans and I hope we find a better place for all of us. Yeah.
I love that. I think, I feel the same way. I feel like we need to
Mm.
find a better place, and collectively we can do that.
Yeah.
But a lot of it starts with the work on ourselves.
Yeah.
So I want to take it back just a little bit. Where
Hmm.
are you from? Where did you come from, and where did this all begin for
Yeah.
you?
So I'm born and raised in Germany, and the longest time of my life I lived in Germany. I'm moved to New York 10 years ago. So, but the most time I was in Germany and traveled the world. And my healing journey started when I was 27. And at this point in my life, I had everything. I had a market ruling company with 500 employees. I was running it for a long time. I was almost born into it. And yeah, and I was doing all the right things that were on the standard things, right? I was married, I had a house, I had enough money. I didn't even think about it. I could just like have the credit card on, and it's like, but something inside of me was unfulfilled and unhappy. And I ignored that feeling so long. And then it's like my body just at one point said, enough. We don't do this anymore. And I just broke down. It was Christmas. I had a moment where I had room for myself, and my body just used that moment. And I broke down to the bathroom floor. I cried, and I think I cried 2 weeks straight. I did not know how to get up from this bathroom floor. And that was kind of like the beginning of my life, I feel, but because it was the first time I really tuned in and I recognized why I'm here, what I'm doing with this life, and at this time I was more like obeying the narrative,
Mm,
trying to fit in, be the good daughter for my parents, if I
right,
make myself bend a little bit more and maybe I receive a little bit more love, the being the good girl, doing all the right things,
right.
but then in that moment where I just broke, I realized I can't do this anymore and I don't want to do it anymore. And I got somehow into this boldness and say, let me just pick it all apart and see what's here actually in for me, why I'm here, and wow, that was a journey. That was a trip, because there was so much pain in my body. There was so much disconnect in my body. There was just like, it was crazy.
It's painful. Do you feel
Yeah,
like a lot of people go through that point in their lives, but they just don't act on it?
I think so. I think
Yeah,
so because life has always the best interest for us. I think we are connected to that divine flow. We held in our truth without knowing it all the time, and it feels almost sometimes or always we have to live forward and understand it backwards, and if you look
right.
back, you understand, oh, I understand why this had to happen, and if this is true, that means we always held in that divine order, in
Mm,
our truth,
right.
and this is why certain things happen to us. It's sometimes when we ignore ourselves or the message in it, life gets louder, our inner being gets louder, because I think what we longing for collectively is like our own truth, and like
Absolutely.
being embodied in it
Absolutely.
and learn to express it, and when we don't do it, that is the pain we're experiencing.
Absolutely.
That is the challenge of life, it doesn't feel easy because we off the purpose somehow,
Right.
so I think everybody has that banging at the door,
Yeah.
but it's a choice to use it and open that door and see what's there for me. Yeah.
Do you think it's the fear that we all have? Or, I think maybe the fear that we have, and people have responsibilities. So they're afraid
Mm.
to act on breaking down and starting a new path, a new journey of
Mm.
life,
Yeah.
because they feel like they have so many
Mm.
responsibilities to take
Mm.
care of, and you can't stop. You have to continue on. And like you said, maybe you feel like, your parents want you to do certain things, or your spouse
Mm.
wants you to do certain
Mm.
things. So we have a fear of
Mm.
actually stopping and taking a listen to who we
Mm.
are inside.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
just said this yesterday. Once you become vulnerable,
Mm.
vulnerability leads to authenticity.
Yeah.
And authenticity, like you said, is what we're all searching for
Mm.
in our
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, what a beautiful feeling of fear. I think we misuse it so much,
Mm,
because first of all, fear is my protector. Fear wants me to be safe. I cannot neglect this profound feeling. I just have to learn to use it, and yes, fear is intense,
Say that again. That's incredible. That's an incredible thing.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I say it again. So fear is my protector. Fear is in my corner. Fear wants me to be safe.
Yes.
And when I experience fear, I can have her tense me up, go into a fear city and like get crazy over all the things that go wrong, or I listen and say, is this the invitation to move out of this outgrown place that I'm in? Because we have to grow. We see it in a toddler.
Right.
In a toddler, in this little being that runs through life and wants to just see it and sees for the first time, we bump into things. We don't know they are mistakes. So we do them all the time and we need them to grow. And then out of a sudden, we're in this full-size body and we stop making mistakes, or we judge ourselves for doing mistakes,
Yes.
And fear is wonderful and necessary. We all have it. That means we have to make use of it, And I think when fear shows up, she shows, let's grow. Let's move into that next place. And imagine you use the energy, that intensity of fear, that you just like want to jump out of your body. I always see her in the back of my bag, pushing me a little bit, like, I don't want to go there, but I still go there anyway. And she is the catalyst for change. But we're afraid of change because we don't know what we get. We don't know what is the place I'm landing. If I let this part of me go, what do I find? How do I operate with this new part I find?
And so how do we overcome that? Because I feel like that's where a lot of people are in their life. And you said it, a child goes through life with eyes wide open and they're growing and they're learning and they're experiencing new things. But as we get older, as we're adults, we're afraid of the change. We're afraid of, taking that step to try something different, where we become complacent.
Yeah.
And complacency leads to what we're talking about.
Yeah. And I think always I check in. Do I want to be truthful to myself, and want to grow? Do I want to pursue what I feel deep inside, or want to just be unhappy, And it's like, I chose to be happy and I make it work. And that is fear. Actually, fear helps us to do this. And so there are two ways, or there are so many ways to deal with fear, First of all, recognize how fear shows up in your body. Usually when fear comes, your body gets tense, your breath gets shallow, maybe a little cold sweat, and then you jump into your mind in all the things that go wrong. That's the process of fear. If you have awareness for it, first of all, take a deep breath, relax the tension out of your body, and then recognize you're safe in the space, and then make a conscious choice, check in, where am I at? What is outgrown here? Where do I need to go? And how can I use that intensity, that fuel, to push me into that next level? So maybe you need the fear to come up and just shake it out and say, I got it. I can do challenging things. We can do challenging things. We do it all the time. But usually we just pushed into it and it's a moment of truth or a spontaneous thing and we do it. We go into the challenge, but we don't know, But when we choose the challenge and say, wow, what an opportunity to grow, that feels more, I'm coming from a place of ownership. I'm owning this fear. She is there. I feel super intense right now and I'm doing it anyway. I'm scared all the time. And if you do something new, it's super scary because you have never done it. You probably suck at it big times, It's like, why not embracing this feel? It's a basic feeling of all beings. So it must be okay to have that feeling. If we shift, it's like almost recognizing I'm human, Everybody has this feeling. How can I use this feel for my advantage instead of being unhappy and choosing that place?
Right. Instead of being stagnant with your life. And like you said, every day we have fearful moments.
Yeah.
But there are times when we need to make a big change that we don't recognize that it's the same fear that we had when it was a little moment.
Yeah.
and take that moment and make it intense in a positive way. Look at it as something positive to make a
Yeah.
change
Yeah.
instead of being so afraid that it stops us, it immobilizes us from doing something else.
Yeah. Yeah. And we have to own our feelings, and what a beautiful thing to just say, I love my fear. I mean, I don't want her all the time around, I don't want to be in attention all the time, but it's definitely a catalyst, and yeah, what a beautiful thing to have, because all feelings are in our corner. All feelings come as messenger,
Right.
and I had a breathwork class yesterday, and be in the full moon Scorpio, so big feels, and if you think about it, feelings, we're so afraid of our feelings, but in essence, it's just a feel. It can kill us. It
Right.
can harm us, it's just very intense, some of them, so can we build the capacity to have space for that big fields somehow? I think that is what we have to learn. Yeah. And then own it.
And own it. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I want to talk to you about a couple of things. One, that's kind of the techniques that you use with your clients. And
Mm.
two, if you have any male clients, because back to what you just said, men are, you know, we're the ones who don't show our emotions. We're the ones who are not
Mm.
usually in touch with feelings and ready to act on certain things.
Mm.
How do we approach it?
I think it's just a difference in how our being operates. Women are just so connected. We feel all the time. We're the feeler, and I think the masculine is a different designed, and maybe it takes more courage. I mean, what we come out of, we have to release so much trauma that is put on all of us, what we are supposed to be, our roles, like that deep trauma, that disconnect from all that deep truth that is untrue. Boys don't cry, boys are not emotional. I believe the heart of a man is more tender and gentle than from a woman, and this is why the armor is up. A woman can take a
Interesting.
lot. We feel her. We can have a higher pain tolerance, because we have to give birth, that is a
Right.
painful
Yeah.
thing, I believe, so our tolerance to feel and to feel deeper is higher. But because the heart of a man is so gentle, I think that is where the disconnect happens, because our world is not saying, oh, the masculine heart is tender, there's wisdom in it. Imagine a man would own that place. The whole being would shift into a different place, I believe, almost. Yeah.
I agree. I have to agree with you on that one. And I think
Mm.
that, I might be an exception to the rule, but
Mm.
growing up in a single parent household with my mother in,
Mm.
as the head of the house, we shared a relationship where we were very emotional together.
Mm.
She was very nurturing. So then
Beautiful.
I, in turn, have better relationships with people, with women, with other
Mm.
friends, with, my connection, because I wasn't told, don't cry as a
Mm.
little boy,
Beautiful. Yeah.
so those type of things that you just mentioned.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're more in tune as
Yeah.
an adult,
Yeah. Yeah.
with your partners, with your
What a,
friends, with
yeah.
the world even.
Yeah. What a beautiful thing to
Right.
feel, that makes us all human. And what a beautiful thing. Imagine we could move through that feel spectrum freely,
Right.
without feeling a threat in it, without putting ourselves down, and what I notice recently a lot, or like in general, is like sometimes when we need ourselves, a part of us hurts, it's almost we put ourselves down in that moment,
Mm.
instead acknowledging, oh, a part of me is in pain. Let me look. Let me hold space. It's almost your best friend comes to the house and say, oh, I don't feel good. And you say, go away, come back when you feel better. That's what we're doing to ourselves,
Oh,
But like, can we acknowledge our feels, and how beautiful to feel, And what you touched on with the breath work that I'm doing, so to surpass the mind
mhm.
almost, it's like when we do this practice, this breathing practice, it's almost we try to drop into the body's wisdom. We get out of the mind, we access the body's wisdom. So at one point when we do this breathing, the mind just shuts down and we get into the body's wisdom. And in that realm, we find deeper connections to ourselves. So it's actually a place where we, away from the mind, where we release that control part that wants to be in charge of everything. And we can drop into that more organic flow in our being. So, and I think that is the most profound healing that happens in that breath work, that you realize, oh my God, I can't believe this is what I'm doing to myself. Or
So it's almost like a disconnect from the mind to the physical, sort of. Do you is that what you're saying? Or and I guess the next question then is it where are we in a great place when the two are connected?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think right now what we're doing, we're just trying to figure life out with this, and we're trying to approach life, which is not logic. Love is not logic, nothing about this is logic,
Right. True.
and we're trying to put it all in categories, to be safe,
Right.
to just have it all figured out and know the uncertainty, but the mind is not designed for it. We take the uncertainty with the wisdom of our bodies, the intuition, the heart. There is science that the heart knows things before anything else starts activating in your body, because the heart is the biggest magnetic field in the body. It's the wisest place in our bodies, I believe. Imagine what wisdom we take away from ourselves to not tune in to that place of wisdom. I feel like that uncertainty that we're trying to avoid can be solved just by tuning into your navigation system, the intuition and the heart, and that is how you navigate through life, but you have to receive it also. And that comes out of the body, that wisdom is not in the mind, it's not logic. It's just like, why do you know intuitively I need to go there? I can trust that person, oh, this feels good.
Right.
That is not in the mind, it's in the body.
Right.
But because we are a generation of trauma or a world of trauma, we drop out of the body. So we're trying to solve life in the mental space.
And so how do we continue? How do we know to check in? When in your technique or teaching people, is there something you give them to remind them, hey, check in with yourself?
Yeah.
Listen to yourself. What do you?
Yeah. So the first step is always being safe in the body, and then learning to be in the body, because when we collect trauma, we drop out of it. Because I get it, things are so intense to feel. So we rather don't feel, because we don't know how to process that intensity. So we drop out of the body. The first thing is to notice I have a body, and this body belongs to me. And this body, I can choose to feel safe in my body, and then it's kind of like regaining a relationship that you maybe lost at one point. It's like baby steps. If somebody's highly traumatized and out of the body for years, it's not one session and say, oh, I'm back in the body, let's go. It's like, it's traumatizing. The body is traumatized. So you disconnected so far that you take very little baby steps, and in that process, you notice, oh, I can own this body. This is actually my property to own.
Right. So it's a consciousness of getting back into your body, into yourself.
Yeah. And that is sometimes the longest process in the healing journey, to just get that safety back and recognize, okay, it got neglected somewhere on the way. Let me find that truth again. Let me find my ground again, and so that is the first step that I always recommend. And it's like, I think we can all level up here to be safe in the body. Because if we are not safe in the body, how do you want to listen to the messengers, like the intuition, the wisdom of your heart? How do you want to listen if you're disconnected to it? But it's the fear again that the stories we hold in our body, in our nervous system, that are unprocessed, that gives us the illusion it's not safe. to be in the body,
Right.
you know. So it's a processing also of the stories, integrating them back in, you know, and let the feeling almost be expressed. Like, how would a feel express itself, you know?
Right.
If we learn to have that back in the body and allow it, we can move through it, you know, because emotion is energy in motion. That is what it means. You know, if you take that in, energy in motion, we experience stuck because the energy doesn't move, you know,
Right.
and that is where trauma is held in the body. A story get compressed into a dense place, you know, the nervous system holds the story there and makes sense out in a sense like, oh, I need to protect myself, you know, and that is the mechanism we kind of like do in trauma. The walls up, you know, so we have to go back here and let the energy discharge and move again, you know, energy in motion.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because energy should not stop. It's
Energy
never
never
ending.
stops,
Yeah, it never
you
stops. It's
know.
never ending.
Yeah.
So it should not be
Yeah.
compacted right here in your body.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, and that is trauma,
Yeah.
what it
That's
actually
trauma.
is. The
Right.
story is compressed, you know, and then we compress ourselves with it somehow. Yeah. But energy moves always, you know, we see it in nature, you know,
Right.
everything moves, nothing stops, you know, and everything is in balance. Everything, you know, I love nature as a wisdom teacher, you know, because nature is so effortless in going to ebb and flow and doesn't judge it, you know. The ocean doesn't care on what side it's hanging right now, you
Right.
know.
True.
The moon just hangs there because the sun is on the other side, you know. We rotate in it, and it's like they all being together is harmony, you know. They don't fight each other, and that is what we also have to learn. We can have a conflict within ourselves,
Right.
you know, but how we approach the conflict makes all the difference. And we see it in real life, you know. We can, out
Yeah.
of a conflict, we make a whole war. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
we make war out of a conflict. Really, we cannot talk through it. It's the same process inside, you know. Can I have that tough conversation with myself, you know? And
Right.
sometimes we carry conflict.
And I
Yeah.
think you said it, you know, related to nature. Nature,
Mm.
it happens. It doesn't have to be perfect,
Mm.
but it's still in motion.
Yeah.
You know, it's perfect, imperfectly
Yeah.
perfect, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's what we are.
Yeah. And
So
it's
we
exactly the same
yeah.
thing, you know, all
Yeah.
the beauty we see, all of the rhythms, you know, all the cycles. We have cycles, we have rhythms, you know, and then we judge ourselves because we are tired, we feel a bit low, you know. It's the same of ebb and flow. Think always of nature, how it moves. And neither is good or bad. It's just the flow.
Low. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so with your breath work, um, through the body is where you're channeling energy. Is that how you look at it? Or what is the how do you look at the breath work technique?
So breath is life.
Hmm.
You know, there's nothing without life. If you stop breathing, max how long? 4 minutes, that's it. You
Right.
know, it's over. So it's life. And I think breath is also the connection between the physical and the invisible realm. You know? So I think breath is our energetic. It moves energy, it moves life through us. It brings flow into the body, you know, and in that flow, we regain actually flow. So yeah, I think it's an energetic flow how breathwork works, and you feel tingling under your skin when you do it, and you go to an altered state of consciousness. You know, things feel possible again. You know, you access a part of you, the wisdom of your body. You access with it. Yeah.
Gotcha. What would you like us to know about life coaching and breath work and why it's important and why you do what you do?
I think what is important is to heal, to recognize that each one of us has a unique journey, you know, and there is in life is not one fit all. And that is something we have to kind of like realign, you know, because imagine everybody heals, you know, find that deep truth, you know, reconnect and learn. It's just a feel. I can move through it. Imagine a society that is healed. Imagine our soul is what we obey. That is my deepest dream and
Mm,
wish for us, that we all find the truth, the essence, and which I think is the soul, and if we obey that soul, then I know to do the right thing, because it's like I don't want to do harm to myself, and I recognize life in me. So I recognize it in you, and if we all level it up a little bit through healing, recognizing, oh my God, we all human, we all earthlings, we sharing this earth together to have an experience, and that is kind of like what drives me and what I think is necessary in humanity to heal, to recognize that deep truth and learn to be connected to it and then learn to express it. And that is why I'm so passionate about the healing work, because I see that as I study healing modalities since my breakdown, so
mhm.
15 years, I study healing modalities because I was so passionate about it and I can't stop it. And then I found breath work and I thought like, wow, this is so powerful. You can move through trauma and life stuff that feels heavy in such a short amount of time. And that is what we need. We need to get out of that survival state. And I feel breathwork is the medicine of our times because it's quick, profound, and it's in our bodies. We recognize, oh my God, the power is inside of me. So let me everything I outsource, let me get it back.
Right.
Let me ground myself. And in that truth, we share one collective truth because we all humans. And if we find that basic respect for I am human, you are human, we're sharing this earth for this experience, I feel like this is a good place for humanity to aim for almost.
Yeah.
And that's what drives me and burns inside of me and let me roll out of bed every day.
I love that. We have so many more things in common as humans than we have differences.
Yeah,
So yeah, we need
yeah,
that. We definitely need that.
yeah,
Everything in alignment, you
mm,
know, with the
yeah.
body and mind.
Yeah, and that beautiful earthling, I think always,
Right.
yeah. Mm,
Um, Last question for you. What kind of clients do you have and what kind of people can come to experience you and
mm,
get in alignment with you?
mm. So I have all kinds of clients, and I think always, wow, what a beautiful thing, It's like I have the best life ever. Everybody comes, everybody has amazing story, all these beautiful humans. And, I have people, they work for the UN. I have people for the New York City Ballet, I have creatives. It's like professionals, all kinds of being. And I don't even know how they find me. I don't even know, but I think it's the energetic realm. You connect, you see something and say, oh, this connects. I connect with this, and
Right.
that is like kind of how people find me. They feel maybe, let me try this. And yeah, I have really all kinds of people. Like, yeah.
Good. And I
Mm,
also feel like we're at a time where people are actually searching for this type of, help.
mm.
I
Yeah,
don't want to say help, but you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like
yeah,
alignment, I guess is
yeah,
the same word.
yeah.
But we're all looking for that sort of balance in our life. And what you do
Mm,
helps to create that balance. We
yeah.
find ourselves, you said this, you already said this, it empowers us
Mm,
for ourselves to live a
mm.
better life.
Yeah,
So I think that's what we're all
yeah.
looking for too.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. I think we all longing for that next place. We
Hmm.
have done years and years of therapy. We all know our trauma, we
Right,
understand it somehow, but now it's time to process it in the body. We
right,
cannot talk the way out of trauma.
right.
That part needs to be processed in the body. And that is time now. And that is where real, true liberation lays. I feel like almost. Yeah.
Absolutely. And especially coming out of the 2.5 years of this pandemic, we all need it
Mm.
too,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah. And what a beautiful place. We recognize all wow, we actually need different things. It's like we don't want to do jobs anymore. They are useless, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So what a beautiful thing came out of that crisis, you know? And
Right.
we need crisis sometimes, you know, in
Right.
our
Look at you.
personal.
Look at this. Look
Oh
at
my
what you're
God.
doing that came out of the pandemic, right?
The queen of crisis.
Right. No, but I mean like this whole,
Yeah.
your whole platform of
Mm.
finding yourself deeper
Yeah.
and helping others find
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
So what a beautiful thing the pandemic did for
Yeah.
you and this podcast for me to
Yeah.
be able to help, inspire people with other
Yeah.
people's stories.
Yeah. Yeah. What a
So,
beautiful thing.
Right?
Definitely. Yes.
Well, Eva, I want to thank you for coming to the show and sharing all the wisdom, and everyone in the sound of my voice, please make sure you reach out and get yourself in alignment with Eva Kornet. Tell them how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah. So you can go to my website. It's www.evakornet.com. I feel like I'm advertising here. It's just EVAKORNET. Yeah. And if you want to find any events, my Instagram is pretty up to date. I think that is sometimes I cannot catch up with the newsletter right now. So rather find me on Instagram, and there's everything.
I don't know if you have this already, but maybe a Facebook group would even be great too. So people can connect on your Facebook group.
Yeah.
And, start conversations there.
Yeah.
That would be
maybe.
fantastic.
Yeah. I almost let that organic flow just move always, and then something new comes always with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, let's see if this is in
Let's
the cards.
see if it happens.
Definitely.
Well, good. Thank you very much for coming on the show. And I hope everybody within the sound of my voice, go to evakornet.com. Check out the services. Breathwork is necessary. Get in alignment. Thank you for coming to the show. Everyone, please follow the show, my show, at OneMicNite. OneMicNite is spelled ONEMICNITE. You can follow me on Instagram. Drop me a DM. Marcos Luis, MarcosLuis. And also check the notes down on the bottom of this episode. We'll have all Eva's information. And also check out my store, Elements of Living, at Azules EN. The notes will be down there in the bottom. Get your Element for Living lifestyle. Thank you for joining me for this episode of OneMicNite. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.